So welcome to our gentle class today. And our theme today is the idea of letting go. It comes up an awful lot in the Yoga Sutras, and the amount of real estate in the Yoga Sutras relates to how important something is. So um, funny enough, asana, or the physical practice of yoga, is only mentioned a few times, like 3 times in the whole Yoga Sutras. And the idea of letting go, I've never counted, but there's different ways to say it. There's different sort of words for letting go. There's different contexts for letting go. But the point is that it's our clinging and holding on to what no longer serves us or what is not possible that creates a lot of anxiety and a lot of tension. And so a couple of weeks ago, I had the theme on clinging and aversion, and that's all part of the same pattern. When we're clinging to something, we're suffering, we're wanting something to be other than what it is, right? And some things we can change, and we should work really hard and do our best work to change what we can change. And then the rest of it, we sometimes just have to let go. And we've been doing a lot of letting go for the last couple of months, right? Letting go of seeing our friends, letting go of doing social things, letting go of being free in the world. And, maybe you've been holding really tightly onto that. Maybe you found it easy to let go. But the fact is that there's always something in life that we're going to need to let go of. And so if we can practice when things are easier, it makes it easier to let go of the big things when they come along. So today I invite you, if there's something in your life that you've been clinging to or holding on to, or that you just want to shed, that you want to let go of. I made the sort of offhand suggestion earlier of letting go of extra carbs. It could be something simple as that. So, we're all eating a lot of, well, I can't say we all are, but I know that I've heard from a lot of people that there's a lot more carbs going down. So whatever it is that you feel you need to let go of, right? Maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's a possession, maybe it's a habit. Um, and I would invite you not to choose the most challenging things. So if you have something huge that you've been struggling with for a long time, maybe don't use that for today's practice, but choose something that feels manageable, that you could imagine yourself letting go of. And that way we're practicing with the little things, and then over time, that process gets a little easier. So we're going to start lying down on our mats today. So if you want to get comfortable on your mat, if you're not already, then I will meet you there. So you lie right down on your back. If it's comfortable to have your knees bent, you can have your knees bent, otherwise legs straight. If with your knees bent, it tends to give a little more support to the lower back, but you can see what's comfortable for you. And then bring your hands onto your belly, or it could be rib cage, belly, chest, belly, wherever it feels comfortable for you. Try to make sure your elbows are on the ground. So if that even means holding the sides more than right on top, then do that so that your elbows, shoulders, and arms can be relaxed. If you like, you can close your eyes. And start to tune into your breath. Tune into the rhythm of your breath as it is. And then start to pay just a little bit more attention, give a little more focus to the exhalation. Inhale, normally exhale, and see if you can exhale to the end of your exhalation, not to the point that you're pushing or forcing, but to the point that you feel like you've let the breath go and you're ready for the next fresh breath. Right? Unless we let go, we can't make space for what's to come. So we let the breath go, and then we're ready to take the next breath. The inhale happens naturally. Let the exhale be full, be complete. Let it go. And if there is something in your life that you'd like to work specifically with today, if there's something you would like to let go of, you might bring that into your mind and just create the intention that as you exhale, you're letting that go bit by bit. So letting go isn't always such an event. It can be a process that takes some time. Exhale, feel your body soften. Let the breath go. Take a few more breaths here. And then let's bring the arms down to the sides. So hands on the floor beside the hips, and we'll lift the arms straight up, making a half circle or an arc to bring the hands towards the space behind your head. They might touch the ground, they might not. It's not important. And then coming back down to your sides. If you like, you can inhale as you lift, and then exhale as you lower, and please go at the pace that feels right for your breath. That might not be the same as my pace. Next time your arms are coming down to your sides, we're going to bring one knee into the chest. You can hold that knee there for a few breaths. And then let's bring the foot to the floor, reach the arms overhead, breathing in. And then as you exhale, bring the other knee in and pause there for a few breaths. Let the thigh sink towards the chest or belly, the hands creating some extra weight. You can experiment a little with where the hands are, even closer to the ankle or closer to the knee, to see how that changes the experience. And then let's lift up the arms as we bring the foot down, breathing in. Come back to the first knee. And then if you like, you can stretch out the other leg. Press down into the heel, press away with the heel. Gently squeezing in with the knee as you press out with the opposite foot. And then using a little bit of your core, as long as this is comfortable for you, doesn't feel like a strain at all, you can lift the leg from the ground straight up. Now, if it feels like that would be a strain, just bend the knee and then lift it up. Otherwise, you'll go straight from the ground and lift the leg straight up. Good. And then lower. You can lower right to the ground or hover just above the ground. Lift and lower a couple of times, keeping the abdominal muscles engaged. See if you can relax the muscles that you don't need here, let them go, and just work with the muscles that are required. So for instance, your face, neck, and jaw probably don't need to tense up here. Your shoulders could stay fairly relaxed as we focus on the core. Good. And then as the leg comes up again, you can bring both knees into the chest. Just pause there for a moment. Maybe rock a bit side to side. And then switch. So keeping the leg that was straight into the chest now, extending the other leg, pressing down and out with the heel. Taking a few breaths here. And then again, you want to engage the core, protect your lower back, and if it feels like a strain, bend the knee as you lift. Otherwise, you can lift and lower the straight leg a few times. Again, focusing on just the muscles that are required to do the movement, letting go of the tension that comes in inadvertently. And that's often around the face, neck, and shoulders. Great. Then when the leg is up in the air, you're going to bend the knee, bring it into the chest, and we'll hold both knees, bringing one hand to each knee so your fingers point toward your toes. And then straighten your arms, move your knees away, and then bend your elbows to bring your knees in. So you're inhaling as you move the knees away. You're exhaling as you draw the knees in. All right, let's bring the feet to the floor. So the last movement where we're lifting the leg, we're engaging the core and the hip flexors mainly to lift the leg. And now to stretch and open that area of the body a little bit, we'll work with the bridge pose. So you can choose to do this either with the arms staying down at your sides, or you can lift them overhead as we lift the hips. So we'll do this dynamically, and then we'll have the option to stay. So you want your feet lined up underneath your knees. Arms start at your sides, whatever option you're choosing. We'll take a breath in, and then exhale, press into the feet. Feel yourself get grounded here, and then as you inhale, lift the hips and maybe also extend the arms behind you. And then as you lower down, lower the hips. And if you've raised the arms, lower those as well. So you're inhaling as you lift. And you're exhaling as you come down. And next time you come down, leave your arms down. Press down into your palms, lift the hips, and come into bridge as a static position. If it feels better to you to keep moving, by all means, keep moving. And once you've come into bridge, if you want to play around with maybe lifting the arms and seeing how that feels with the arms overhead or out to the sides, or you can leave them down where they were. So take a few breaths here. Again, soften the muscles that you don't need. Relax what you're not using. Take a few more breaths. As always, if your body says enough, you're going to come out of the pose whenever you need to. And of course, you can stay a little longer too once we've released the pose. If you're feeling really strong, really good, you can always stay a little longer. When you're ready, start to slowly release. As your body comes back to the ground, take a couple of breaths here. And again, come back to that theme that we're working with today of letting go. So whatever you need to release, if there's anything specific, without bringing a big story into your mind about how you're going to do it, just have the intention of releasing that thing. A few breaths. If you like, you can take the arms and turn the palms up toward the ceiling, which is a gesture of more openness, more release. Stay with your breath, a few more breaths, and this idea of letting go with the exhale. So with the arms a little away from the body, palms turned up if that's comfortable for you. Otherwise, palms down is fine. Turning the palms up opens and externally rotates the shoulders, so it can give a little more shoulder stretch as we move into a gentle twist here. So taking the knees one way, you can turn the head the other way. Just pause for a moment and check in with the opposite arm. So if you feel like a little more stretch in the shoulder would feel good, you can raise the arm up a little bit. Less stretch, lower the arm toward the hip. And then come back to center. And then go to the other side, pause there. And again, find the position that feels just right for the opposite shoulder. And it may be different from the other side. And once you've got your arm position in place, you can start to move dynamically. So coming back to the center, you'll exhale, turn your head away from your legs as you come into the twist, and then inhale, come back to center. Exhale to the side. Inhale to the center. Go at your own pace. Your breath may be a different pace from mine, most likely is. So matching your own breath, moving at a pace that's comfortable for you. And as always, if coordinating your breath and movement feels awkward or doesn't quite match up or feels uncomfortable, then go ahead and just breathe normally and do the movement at a pace that feels good to you. Great. Eventually, let's bring it back to the center. You can leave your arms where they are or bring them lower, whatever is comfortable for you. Having some major issues itching with my face. So if I hit the microphone, I apologize. I think my cat has deposited hair on my face. The trials of teaching from home. So we're going to open the knees now, taking the knees apart, soles of the feet together, and then bring the knees back together. When you bring them together, squeeze gently in and press down. So there's a little bit of a pelvic tilt that happens as well. So you open the knees. Generally, the back tends to arch, the pelvis will tilt away. As you close the knees, the pelvis will tilt back, the lower back moves down, squeezing and pressing down. A few more breaths here. If you want to coordinate breathing, you're inhaling as you open the knees, exhaling as you bring them together. Again, arms are wherever they're comfortable. Great. If it feels good for you, stay for a few breaths. If you'd rather move dynamically, keep moving. We won't stay here too long. For some people, this is a really easy stretch. For me, I find it's a really intense stretch. So if you need to support under your thighs to relieve any of the pressure, feel free. But again, we won't stay too long. Great. As you're ready, you can slowly bring the knees back together. You bring both knees into the chest. And we'll bring the knees in toward the body and then separate the knees apart. Press them away from you by straightening your arms. Bring them together and back in. So you're making a circle on either side with each leg. And then go the opposite direction. So press the knees away down the center line. Separate the knees and draw them around and in back to your chest. Great. And then hugging the knees in. Make yourself as small as you can. So that might mean holding the knees either together or apart. It might mean holding the hands over the legs. Maybe you can wrap your arms around your knees. That's a little bit of a stretch. It depends on how long your arms are, and a few other factors. How tight your hips are, how big your belly is. Good, and then let's release. Stretching out your legs. Stretch out your arms overhead. Reach from fingers to feet. You can flex your feet and then gently point your toes, being a little cautious with the pointing because it can tend to cramp the calves of the feet. And flex again. Take a couple of breaths here. And let's bring the arms down to the sides. We'll bend both knees again. So from here, we'll do a semi-static stretch, taking one ankle and crossing it over the opposite knee. And for this one, bringing the legs closer to the body is going to give you more stretch, and there's many ways to do that, as most of you have done different ways. So it could be just coming onto your toes or placing something solid under that foot, like a block or a book, an encyclopedia. If you have such a thing, does anyone have encyclopedias anymore, I wonder? Or you could use a belt, or if your arms are long enough, you could reach behind the leg of the foot that was on the floor. So you don't want to reach around behind the leg that was already up, but the one that was on the floor. And then the semi-static part of this is we can rock a little side to side. So it doesn't matter if your foot's on the ground or up in the air. Just rocking a bit side to side and tune into and notice how the stretch changes from one side to the other. Does it change? And then find a place somewhere near the center. If you want to feel a bit more sensation, you're going to rock slightly towards the leg that your hands are around, or the foot that's on the floor. You can rock slightly that way or be centered. If you want a little less sensation, rock a little towards the side of the knee that's up. And then take a few breaths here. Notice the inhale and the exhale. And notice if anything changes in your experience of this posture. When you're inhaling, does it feel the same? Does it feel the same as when you're exhaling? I'm not looking for any particular answer here. It's really tuning in, being present. So when we bring our attention to the body, to the sensations, we're right here in the present moment. All right, let's let go with this side, releasing. And uncross the legs and cross the other way. And then again, find your just right position, not too much, not too little. Find the expression of the pose that works for you. And then again, you can rock a little bit from side to side and move slowly and stay tuned in, stay present. What do you notice? How do I feel different when I rock to the right versus the left? Is there a difference? Be curious. It's a beautiful quality to bring to everything we do. This curiosity. When we think we know everything, that's a problem. Right? When we're curious and open, almost childlike, come right into the wonder of this moment. And then find a place that feels just right for you to pause. So it could be slightly towards the leg that was on the floor, could be slightly toward the knee that's up in the air, or somewhere in the middle. Find the amount of sensation that feels right for you. Pause there and notice. Can I detect any difference in sensation from my inhale to my exhale? And I will also say that if you don't feel much or anything at all when I invite you to tune in, that's also normal. We sometimes have areas of the body that are numb for various reasons, and it's not necessarily that there's something wrong. You know, we're disconnected often emotionally from parts of the body, so that's hard to find some sensation. Or we might be thinking about something else. So a couple more breaths here. And then as you're ready, slowly releasing, uncrossing your legs. And we'll do a few more rounds of this butterfly movement, opening and closing the knees. Inhale as you open, exhale as you bring the knees together. Inhale as you open, exhale together. And then bringing the knees together, stretch the legs out on the ground. You can give them a little shake. And then pause. As long as you're comfortable with your legs straight, let your feet fall out to the sides and let your legs relax. If it's more comfortable bending the knees, go ahead and bend them. Your hands can be on your body or on the ground. For this, it doesn't matter. And take a moment to tune into the area from your hips down, the area that we've been mostly working with so far. And now see what subtle sensations are present. What are you aware of? What do you notice? Again, no right or wrong. Right, and then eventually, when you're ready, we're going to bend the knees again. Take your time. If you're still tuning in and checking in, that's totally fine. But when you're ready, bend your knees, roll on to one side, and come upright. So here we'll sit for a moment. So you might want to have a cushion or a folded blanket handy. We won't need it just yet, but you may appreciate it after. So we're going to take the legs a little wider than the shoulders, out in front, feet flat on the floor, and you're using your hands on the ground to support you. Try not to slump down, but use your hands to support, lengthen your spine. That feeling of the chest lifting a little. And then just start with a little movement side to side with your knees, going a little one way, a little the other. And then add a little more movement. So as the knees start to come down toward the ground, one cheek is going to lift and that shoulder is going to be pulled back a little. So you may even lift your hand so that the legs can move without wrenching the shoulder back. And then you come back to center. You go the other way. Again, if the hand is comfortable staying on the ground, that's fine. But if it feels a little tight in the shoulder, just let the hand lift. You might rock or walk forward. You can just press yourself back now and again. All right, let's come back to center now. You can stretch the legs out. Give them a little shake. Right, and we'll bring one knee in. Doesn't matter which, we'll do both sides eventually. And then you're gonna reach down, it could be holding your ankle, it could be holding your foot, bringing your fingers under your foot. And again, length of arms, proportions make such a difference in how we're able to do various different yoga poses. So for some of you, if your arms are shorter, your hips are tighter, you might have your hands inside the leg instead of one on either side. So wherever you are, again, it could be holding the ankle if the foot is not accessible to you. You're going to lean back to pick your foot up, and then you're going to stretch it out. Let the back of your shoulders open. You can bring your head down a little bit, and then draw the knee back into the chest. Rock back a little, and then press the foot out. Your leg certainly doesn't have to come straight, but you're moving it straighter. Almost like we're rowing a boat here, but instead of oars, we have the leg. Wonderful. So next time you're bringing the knee in, bring the foot down to the floor beside your other leg. And here, actually, before we move on, here is where a little lift under the sit bones may be helpful. So you can take, if you've got a blanket, or even if a pillow's too soft, you'll just sink in, it won't do much, but a blanket seems to have a good amount of stiffness to it, so you can bring the edge of the blanket just underneath your sit bones, so you're kind of sitting just at the very edge, so your pelvis tilts a bit forward and comes upright, and that's just going to help you keep a little more upright and less rounded through the back. And then you can bring that knee back in, same leg we've been working with, and then from there allow the knee to move out to the side. So here again, if this is uncomfortable in your hip in any way, propping the knee up can be very helpful. So it could be whatever's handy. Sometimes it's the cat under my leg. He doesn't stay long, but he loves to do yoga. So coming upright, you want to feel that you're using your core to lift your body tall. And we're going to work dynamically with this pose, Janu Shirshasana. Literally, it translates as head to knee pose. We're not bringing our heads to our knees. We're going to take the arms up, reaching up, hinge forward at your hips, and just let the hands come down wherever they reach. Let your head release down, and then lift up. Coming up with a breath in, coming forward with an exhale. You'll probably feel some stretch in the back of the leg, as well as maybe something in the opposite hip. And back off if it feels like too much, but not pushing too hard as we gently work these big muscles around the thighs and hips. Okay, this time, you're going to bring your hands down to about your knee. So we're not really moving forward very much at all. One hand can rest on top of the other. And then lift up tall. Make sure you can keep your spine long, that you don't have to round to reach forward. Big breath in, and as you exhale, slide down a little. Try to keep lifting your spine as you slide forward. So inhale, find a little lift. Exhale, slide forward. And tiny, tiny increments. And as we move slowly towards what you could call the first part of an edge, right, where we first feel our body say, oh, there's the stretch. That might be enough for now. Stay there. And if you want a little more, exhale, go forward. When you get to the point where your body says, no more, that's enough, or maybe even before that point, right? We don't want to push past our edges, but when you feel like you're approaching that edge where it feels like a good stretch, at that point you can take your hands, leave them on the leg or bring them to the floor to support you. Let your head come down, let your back round. Depending on how flexible you are in this position, you could be braced on your hands, or perhaps for some of you down on your elbows. But there's nothing that says one is better than the other. It's where do you feel supported? What works best for you to support you in this pose so you don't overdo it. When you're ready to come up, we're going to reach out and lift up, breathing in. Exhale and release. You can take the foot that was on the floor, lift it up onto the thigh just above your knee. And then you're going to take the leg from the ground that was straight and bend it. You may need to lean back a little bit to find just the right spot for you, and then use your hands to support you. Try to find, again, a little length in your spine, and relax this knee away from you. So this one that's up in the air, just relax it away from you. You can lean back as much as you need to, but try not to round when you're leaning back. And if it's too much stretch, straighten the leg a little more that's on the floor. So find your sweet spot, that edge where more would be too much, less would be boring, nothing's happening. And that gray zone in the middle could be very small. We can go from not enough, too much very quickly. Or it could be very large. There could be a wide range of what feels good, feels like a good stretch to you. So you can play around in that gray zone. Let's slowly release that leg. Uncross. You're going to wave your feet side to side, right from the hip joints. Good. Shake your legs. And then come to sit up nice and tall. You can stay on the blanket for this one, or you can come off. It doesn't matter. I don't think it makes much difference either way. So hands to the foot or the ankle, again, in or outside the leg. We're going to lean back to lift the foot, lift the spine tall. You're going to lift and reach out. Let your shoulder blades open. So let the weight of your foot reaching out create some space between your shoulder blades. Head can come down to really stretch out that area, and then you're drawing it back in and out again. So go at your own pace. Right, maybe one more. Getting carried away, this feels really good. And then bring your foot to the floor. So again, from here, we'll let that knee go out to the side. Here you probably do want to be on a bit of a blanket or a lift. You can, again, use something to support your knee if you feel you need it. The long leg, foot is flexed, toes pointing straight up. And again, you can use your hands behind you to find that little bit of a lift in your spine. And then from there, we'll lift the arms up, breathing in. Exhale, come forward. Small amount. Inhale, lift. So you're just going to the very beginning of your stretch here. We're not looking to find where's the edge as we warm up. We're just incrementally checking out what feels okay. Little bit by little bit, tuning in. Great, and then eventually you're lifting up, and we're going to keep the spine long, neutral. Bring the hands to the knee or thereabouts. Inhale, lengthen and lift. Exhale, slide down an inch or half an inch. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, slide. So we're keeping the spine long. You'll feel likely some stretch in the hip or the leg. And when you've gone as far as is comfortable for you, when you found that gray zone somewhere in there, not too much, not too little, when you found that place, you can go ahead, either keep your hands on the leg or bring them to the ground and let your head relax, let your neck relax. Stay here for a few breaths. As you come up with a big breath in, lifting, finding some lift around the heart. Exhale, let go. Lower the arms. You can take the ankle now and place it above the knee of the straight leg. Lean back in order to bend the leg, to free it up to bend it. And then start to walk yourself a little more upright. If that feels okay for you, you can also move the leg that's on the ground a little straighter. So the closer your legs are to your body, the more stretch you'll feel. The more spread out you are by leaning back or straightening the leg, the less stretch. And probably you've discovered that already by now. So finding that place, that gray zone where it's not too much, not too little. Relax your knee away from you. You can keep the foot flexed here. Great. And then when you're ready, slowly release, slide the leg out, and a little shake. Let's bring both knees up now. Come to sit up tall, reach around for your ankles and bring the soles of your feet together. So you can lift and lower the knees gently a few times, just like a butterfly. And again, your knees might start up here, and that's fine. Going here. So your butterfly is your own unique expression. Good. And then letting the knees relax to the ground. Here again, if you have cushions or blocks that you want to support your knees with, feel free to do that. If you find it's easier to keep a long spine using your hands to support you from behind, go ahead. So if you feel like you're holding your ankles but you're being pulled back, use your hands behind you to support you. So this is really more about being upright and relaxing the knees than anything else. So it's not about, bringing your body forward, but if you need more stretch, you certainly could reach for your ankles, your feet, and gently let the body come forward. But for most people, there's not much forward movement here. Right? When you're ready, you can bring the hands to the outer knees. Bring the knees back in together. Separate the feet again, and we'll go back to that movement that we started with. And here you may want not to be sitting on anything because you're going to move forward, most likely. So side to side. Good. And again, that back arm could lift if it needs to allow your shoulder to feel free here. Great, let's come back to the center and stretch out both legs. And again, give them a little shake. And then we're going to transition to all fours. So you can swing your legs around to one side and come onto your hands and knees. So lifting the head, lifting the tail, draw the shoulders back, chest forward, take a breath in. And then exhale, round your back, press into your palms, let your head come down, stretch out upper back, middle back, lower back, and then reverse. Inhale as you arch or lengthen, exhaling, rounding. And then go ahead and switch things up a bit. So make some circles with your hips, or maybe figure eight. So you would circle one way to the hips and then the opposite way to the heart. Or just making whatever shape feels good in your body. And then free flow, whatever movement. If you want to pop into downward dog, feel free. If you want to come into child's pose, go there. So take another minute or so, move your body in ways that feel good to you. Let go of the rules. Just check in and notice what feels good in my body right now. Play a little even. Wag your tail. Let go of trying to be all serious and a good yoga student. Just have fun. Enjoy the practice. Right, when you come back upright, take the hands a little bit forward of the shoulders so that when you come forward into plank, your hands line up, wrists underneath the shoulders. So you can just play around with that. So we want to come to a kneeling plank where the knees, the hips, and the shoulders line up. And you're pressing into the arms so you're not sagging down into the shoulders. Good. If you want a little more here, if you want to work harder, lift your knees, come into a full plank. Lower and move back to child's pose. So child's pose could be done up on your forearms if that's more comfortable for your knees. And if your knees don't want to bend fully, the other option that can be helpful is to bring a blanket between your knees and between your thighs and your calves. And that just gives a little bit of extra space so your knees aren't so fully flexed. Whatever works for you. And of course, if child's pose isn't comfortable for you, choose another pose or keep moving. You can bring your head onto your hands or onto the mat. And if you're comfortable with your knees together, knees can be together. If you feel like it's hard to breathe or you're feeling squished in some way, take your knees apart. So you've got room for your belly and your breath. And we'll spend a few breaths here. Let's come back to our theme. So child's pose is an introspective pose. It's a pose where we go inward. As you breathe in, feel that you're bringing in fresh air, fresh ideas, fresh feelings. And as you exhale, you're letting go of the stale, letting go of what doesn't serve you anymore, letting go of those habits or relationships or whatever it is that no longer serve you. And again, if you've been working with something specific today, you can go ahead and bring that into your mind. And as you exhale, imagine yourself letting that go. Great. And then let's make our way back up to all fours from child's pose. Tucking the toes under, we'll come up into downward dog for a few breaths. Walking the feet in place, really let your head go. You can take your head side to side, forward and back, letting go of tension in the neck. Keep your knees soft, bending one knee at a time. Right, and then when you feel ready, you can come back down to all fours. And then we'll come into a kneeling position. So for you, it could be here, sitting back on your heels, or it could be up here. So we'll do just a little sequence. It's like a sun salutation from kneeling. And you can start, like I said, either here, just depends how your knees feel, or down here. So wherever you are, arms are at your sides. We'll come up with the breath in. You'll come forward as you exhale. Child's pose. Come up to all fours as you inhale. Cow pose. Tuck your toes under. Come into the dog pose. Back to cow, all fours with a little sway back. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, lifting all the way up, high kneeling, and then coming back to where you started, either just lowering the arms or also sitting back down. So we'll do that one more time, just like that. If your pace is different from my pace, try to follow your own pace as much as possible. It can be challenging when you're being guided. Do your best. Coming up, breathing in. The next movement is child's pose as you exhale. And then from there, it's all fours as you inhale. Exhaling, downward dog. Come right back to all fours with an inhale. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, high kneeling. Exhale back to your starting position. So we do one more. I hope it feels good to get your body moving like this. Coming up with a breath in. Exhaling to child's pose. Inhaling all fours, cow pose. From there, exhaling dog pose, downward dog. Inhaling all fours. Exhaling child's pose. Inhaling high kneeling. And let's exhale and come back to child's pose for a few breaths. Let's let go of those sun salutations, come back to the breath for a few breaths, back to our theme, letting go. Again, it could be specific, something specific you want to let go of, or it could be just a general letting go. So from child's pose, you can round your back a little more and roll slowly up to bring your head up last, and then releasing to swing your legs around. We're going to come back to lie down. So you come down onto your mat. You can bring the knees into your chest. Do a little forward and back movement, Apanasana, exhaling knees in, inhaling knees away. And if you're still just transitioning to the ground, take your time. And when you get there, following this movement or whatever else might feel good with knees to chest. Now extend the legs toward the ceiling, arms either out straight to your sides or overhead, and then back into the body, gently squeezing in as you finish your exhale, inhaling to expand and stretch out. And then any other movement, if there's anything else that your body wants, we're going to Shavasana soon. So you might release the legs and stretch your arms and legs, or you can hold the knees. I know from teaching in-person classes that lots of people feel the need to do a little twist at the end of class just to release the lower back. Totally fine if that's what you want to do, but before Shavasana, make sure you do a counter pose, which is bringing the knees in and stretching out the back, bringing it back to alignment. Otherwise, if we've just twisted and go straight into Shavasana, it can leave us feeling a little bit off kilter. So take your time, whatever might, excuse me, feel good to do before you come to relax. And then you can start to find a good position for you to practice Shavasana in. If you prefer to sit, that's totally fine. If you've got lots of, active things to be doing and you don't want to get too chilled out, you can sit for Shavasana. If you're not worried about that, you can go ahead and stay lying down. So take your time to make the adjustments that you need to be as comfortable as possible. And then once you find that position where you think you can settle,